I can't lie, I have a feeling that Ten Hag might not last very long under INEOS. You know me, I want Ten Hag to last, I want him to prove us all wrong, I want him to do well. But Ratcliffe met Ten Hag and the Man United players for the first time today. And while meeting the Man United players has boosted the mood around camp with this sort of takeover coming in and United football operations being run properly, there's a boost. There's a feeling that INEOS and Ten Hag's relationship is already not the best, with Ten Hag reluctant to give up power. And INEOS have this complete new way of how they want to do things. We've got info, of course, on Paul Mitchell, the deal being closed. How safe is Ten Hag's job? Why is it potentially, not looking good with INEOS? And of course, Graham Potter, the favourite to replace Ten Hag. And with Ashworth coming in, it does feel like Graham Potter to Manchester United is inevitable. We will get into that info, but I want to just give you the background info to this story, and then I'm going to dive right into the Ten Hag info, his meeting with Ratcliffe, his relationship with INEOS. Then we're going to get to the Potter info, the Paul Mitchell info, and more. So do hit that like button, and of course subscribe if you're new. But it was said that Sir Jim Ratcliffe was at Carrington today to meet Erik Ten Hag and the players for the first time since this 1.3 billion investment was announced. He also spoke to staff at the training ground, as well as having 2 more hours of meeting at Old Trafford. We know that Brailsford, Ten Hag have been coming in. We know that Brailsford and Ratcliffe have been coming in, and they've been having meetings with Erik Ten Hag. Now, Rob Dawson did a really good article the other day, and he's just released an article tonight. And this is interesting information, because this is why I think there's sort of reports that Ten Hag might not last long under INEOS, and why these sort of Potter reports are coming out again, because I'm going to give context to that in a second. But it was said that Ten Hag is reluctant to give up any power in the new structure, especially his major role in the identification of transfer targets. Now, INEOS won't like this. INEOS will not like this. If Ten Hag doesn't do this, INEOS will get rid of him. INEOS want to completely change the footballing operations. They want Dan Ashworth, they want Paul Mitchell to be given a power. Of course, they will let Erik Ten Hag have a say, but they want to completely change how the footballing side of Man United operates. And if Ten Hag is reluctant to give up any power, INEOS will get rid of him. The problem is, there's interviews with Ten Hag in the past where he's basically made it clear he wouldn't take the United job if he wasn't given the power and the say over this signing, that signing, this signing, that signing, and he wouldn't work somewhere where he's not given the say over this signing, that signing, this signing, that signing. And that's where it's worrying, because it's like, well, Ten Hag is very reluctant to give up power, and he doesn't want to work somewhere where he's not got that power or say. And INEOS will just be like, well, you're out, we've got our own way of doing things. I know from someone I spoke to that the way INEOS sort of see it is they sort of plan is to give Ten Hag to the end of the season, see how he does, because they want sort of Ten Hag to succeed, because they know that rebuilds take a while and they want to completely reset. But there's a feeling that INEOS's approach won't be more so about changing the manager. It will be Dan Ashworth coming in and setting a way that he wants United to play, Paul Mitchell buying players because he wants Man United to play away, and then they bring in someone to be head coach and allow United to play that way, which could likely be, of course, Graham Potter, which we'll get into. It was said that Erik is guaranteed a veto on all transfer decisions under the terms of his contract, but his influence has been extended beyond that, leading to United signing a number of his former players and those linked to Holland. So, interesting information revealed by Rob Dawson is that we've given Ten Hag more than just veto power. We've given Ten Hag ridiculous amounts of power when it comes to recruitment and transfers that he shouldn't really be having, because, let's be honest, 85 million Anthony. What a joke. And the Muppeteers said that this is a likely cause of friction between Ten Hag and INEOS, and they suggest that this is something that could cause friction between Ten Hag and INEOS, because INEOS will want to change this. INEOS will want, Paul Mitchell and Dan Ashworth at the strings, with Ten Hag having a bit of a say, but they want to completely change how football operations at United run. And I think Odds On FPL basically sum this up perfectly. They said, it seems very much like an unhappy marriage between Erik Ten Hag and INEOS. I imagine he gets until the end of the season unless results continue to be as bad as they are. INEOS gets to do a full evaluation of the structure, bring in their own people, get Brailsford heavily involved, and start implementing marginal improvements, ethos working. Ten Hag wants control, and that won't happen with INEOS. If he finishes the season well, walks, he can leave his head held high rather than being sacked. The plan seems to be going back to the British core. And there's a feeling where if Ten Hag doesn't want to work with INEOS, he can end the season well with his head held high and walk off, or he could be sacked. But it does feel like with Ten Hag and INEOS, it's not looking good, especially after these reports coming out after the meeting today, where you know that they'll be discussing those things. It was obviously said by Rob Dawson, INEOS's preference is to keep Ten Hag to at least the end of the season. I think that's interesting how they say till at least the end of the season, not that they have this preference to bat Ten Hag, it's more to give him the end of the season. And that is because they want to bring in Paul Mitchell, Dan Ashworth, change the structure, focus on changing the structure of United before making decisions about the manager and transfers, because you want the right people there to make the decisions. However, it was said, although there's an acceptance that poor results could maybe force INEOS to act sooner if the results continue, and Graham Potter has been informally sounded out about his plans for the future, and George Claude has initiated calls from agents pushing the claims of their clients. So it looks like INEOS are very much sounding out Graham Potter, and with the fact that we know that Dan Ashworth has a good relationship with Graham Potter, and Dan Ashworth to United is increasingly being linked, it does almost feel like Potter is inevitable. Now, Potter isn't my first choice. In fact, he's not in my top 3 choices. I think that if he struggled at Chelsea, which is a big club where the owners are bad, but at least he got the money, I think he could really struggle at United, particularly with these players. I think the Rangnick came in and these players couldn't take Rangnick seriously. I do worry for Potter. I think he could get swallowed up by those at Manchester United. It'd be nice, hopefully, that INEOS do get rid of those players that would swallow them up. But it seems that sort of Graham Potter kind of feels inevitable. But rather than sort of building a team around Graham Potter, it would be more building a team, a style of football, a Man United way, and then Graham Potter would be a head coach rather than manager to coach that. And it was said that Graham Potter has been informally sounded out about plans for the future by INEOS and all of that as well. So it looks like Graham Potter is sort of INEOS's preferred candidate. I have a feeling that it is going to be Graham Potter. I do like the sporting manager. There's obviously other managers out there like Flick. But I just have this feeling that Ten Hag's going to go at the end of the season and Potter's going to come in. I just have this feeling as well. And I think if Dan Ashworth comes in, that is it. You know, they worked really well together at Brighton, so you never know. Anyway, odds on, FPL also said this. This was referring to, obviously, Ten Hag being reluctant to give up power. He said this was one of the key things that Eric Ten Hag demanded when he took the United job, and he won't relinquish power easy. He said, I set requirements in advance about how I want to work. If they aren't guaranteed, I won't do it. I'm ultimately responsible and accountable for results. I don't want to be sole ruler. I stand for cooperation, but control and transfers is a condition for me. And this is what Ten Hag said 2 years ago. And this is why I think that, you know, with reports of Graham Potter again today, with Ten Hag's recent results, with having a meeting with Ratcliffe and these reports coming out, this is why I'm worried. I don't want to speculate. I hope Ten Hag turns it around. I hope he does well. And I always think change the board, change the players. And let's hope Ten Hag does it around because that does well, because I don't like sacking and changing managers. But it feels like he's not going to give up that power. And INEOS are just going to be like, you relinquish that power or adios. INEOS aren't here to muck about. INEOS have seen the transfers, they've seen your recruitment, they've seen the club's recruitment. They're like, nope. I don't think Dan Ashworth and Paul Mitchell will be appointed for Ten Hag to do recruitment and have a lot of say in recruitment. I think the fact that we want Dan Ashworth and Paul Mitchell says it all about how much power we're really willing to give Ten Hag. And talking of Paul Mitchell, it actually came out today and said, Justin, Paul Mitchell is close to being appointed as Manchester United sporting director, and he has identified Valencia midfielder Javi Guerrera as his first transfer target for the summer. My live stream yesterday, that has all the info on Javi Guerrera to Manchester United, so make sure you go check out that live stream after this video is wrapped up. But people, I want to talk sort of about Manchester United. I want to talk about all of this sort of info coming out. I have been very much Ten Hag game given to the end of the season, and I agree with that. We might as well give Ten Hag to the end of the season, but I'm not the biggest fan of Graham Potter replacing him. There's a feeling that's what United's going to do. There's a lot of rumours recently about Ashworth from Newcastle, and Brailsford has a good relationship with Potter. The fact that it's Brailsford, Potter and Ashworth, it's kind of, it feels like it's written in the stars. Do I want Graham Potter? No. Do I want to give INEOS time to make the changes that they feel is right and adapt? Yes. But do I think there's better options out there? Yes. I'm not a big fan of Graham Potter to United. I think he'll get swallowed up. I think he'll struggle. I think if we lose 7-0 to Liverpool, he'd say, oh, they did well. I think Potter's a good manager. I do. I think he'd be good for the England job. But I just think the Man United job's a different level. Even though INEOS are going to change the structure and it might become easier for managers, because I feel like it's been a graveyard managerial job. It's a graveyard job, Man United. It is a graveyard job. But maybe with INEOS coming in, it won't be so much as a graveyard job because we'll actually have the right people working with the manager and they're more likely to succeed. But I just feel like with Graham Potter, he's a good manager. But to go and manage United, the amount of managers that get swallowed up by this board, these players, it's a difficult job. Fergie's the only one that's done it under the Glazers. I think that as good as you've been at Brighton, it's so different managing United. You've got the spotlight on you, you've got the media on you. But you lost a bit of your managerial credit at Chelsea, which I don't think is his fault. I think it's harsh to judge Graham Potter for what he did at Chelsea. But I don't know if he has the personality, the mentality to manage a big club, particularly United, which is the hardest big club to manage because You see Poch, he's not getting anywhere near the amount of stick that Ten Hag got for losing a few games. And he's not getting anywhere near the amount of stick that Ten Hag got for losing a few games. Arteta's not getting anywhere near the amount of stick that Ten Hag got, despite finishing 8th 2 seasons in a row. When you're at United, you've got that media pressure times 10, times 20. And for me, I'm not confident. I'm not confident with Graham Potter. I'm not a fan of it, but I'm not going to go rant about it. I'm not going to go be negative because 1, it's not happened. 2, Ten Hag's not been sacked. And 3, you never know. We get to the summer, we could appoint a very good manager, or Ten Hag could have turned it around and done a good job. Anyway, please do hit that like button, subscribe down below if you're new. Thank you for watching. Bye.